to see both of you here tonight, representing the Residents Fellows Society Symposium. And Anastasiya and Danny, you're both R3s in your dermatology program? R4. Okay, okay. And it's a wonderful organization you have. Apparently it started in 2004. And I didn't have such a means of connecting with residents across the country before. And I think you've carried this to a whole other level. So I congratulate you on being involved and doing as much as you have for helping the dermatology community. It's really great.
No, thanks so much. And it's definitely been a whirlwind of a ride, but I am very glad that I've been involved with CDRFS and the CDA for the last 2 years, and hope to continue to be involved as my career progresses. And I'm sure the same can be said for Anastasiya.
Yes, I would like to see you there. So tell me, you invited me to give a presentation for the residents boot camp at the beginning of the year. That was an amazing sessions. Even as staff people, we could attend that and pick up a few pearls. But to offer that to junior residents is quite something. So tell me how that happened and what it's all about.
Yeah, so the National Junior Resident Boot Camp is something that started kind of in the height of COVID. Many of our educational initiatives started in the height of COVID as we were trying to meet the needs of dermatology programs and dermatology residents throughout all of Canada. And one of my former co-chair, Dr. Malika Ladha, this was kind of her passion project, the Junior Resident Boot Camp. It's something that she had been wanting to work on and implement for a while. So essentially what had happened is multiple introductory lectures for junior dermatology residents, so primarily aimed at PGY1, PGY2, but open to all residents and even staff, as you've mentioned. These were delivered kind of earlier on in the year over the course of a weekend. And these included things such as morphology, included therapeutics, it included kind of a variety of different topics to make residents feel a bit more comfortable, especially because, at least in Canada and most of our programs, the first 2 years are usually quite a bit off service. So it's nice to feel connected in a way back to dermatology and to still be able to learn dermatology during your junior years. And so, this year, I loved the initiative and it went so well when we surveyed residents last year. I decided that we can even expand it even further. So we ended up adding several more lectures. I think we ended up having 20 lectures in the end that were spread over 4 Saturdays. And the lectures were also kind of increased in length just to allow for the staff to go at a bit more of a steady pace rather than rush through the material, also allow residents to ask questions. And I think the value of this from an educational standpoint is that every dermatology program in Canada is different. So many of programs have their own type of introductory lectures that they provide, and some do not. And this was a fantastic way to kind of provide an equitable access to educational content. And not only that, but you got to see some of your co-residents from across Canada on Zoom, and you got to see faculty from all across Canada. So I think that was also a very special component of it, because we could see our very own experts teaching us about topics. So overall, I think it's been very satisfying and fruitful, and I think we will continue this in future years to come.
Right. And so it's every July. Does it begin in July? Is that it?
Yeah, sometime around kind of in the start of the new year. So July, August, September, anywhere in between there. We try to aim a bit sooner.
Okay. And Anastasiya, do you want to talk about the RASH, the Resident Academic Study Hour? That was another initiative that came from COVID. Is that right?
Yeah. Exactly. So the first series for RASH was hosted in 2019, 2020. And now we just started a couple of weeks ago, the second series of RASH. And basically this is a high yield review session for senior residents, usually R5s, but R3 to R5 generally attend. And these sessions are based on questions and answers. So it's a great way for the residents to practice answering questions and help them prepare for the certifying examinations at the end of their residency. And so this year, for example, we have 8 lectures. They're usually delivered by residents that just graduated, so new staff. That do these sessions. So they're the most familiar with the process. All this knowledge is still very, very fresh in their mind. And so they're able to kind of create their own questions. And then we get to practice answering them. So we have various topics from high yield medical dermatology review, surgical, we have therapeutics reviews, CMEs, so very broad topics. And so far, we found really positive feedback from the residents across the country. They're very well attended sessions, and we hope to continue doing them in the future.
Wow. So that's in addition to the drive program where you get to practice for your exam?
Yeah,
okay.
This is completely separate. I'm still fairly junior, so I'm not really familiar with the drive program myself. But yeah, this is separate, organized by the RFS.
Super. Wow. I didn't realize the RASH was that. I thought it was just like a review of different topics for all the residents. So that's interesting. Makes a lot of sense. And there's you have something also, some sort of procedural series, do you?
Yeah. We were quite busy during COVID. I mean, we had a lot of spare time occasionally. And, my former co-trainer, Malika, we really wanted to take, as you mentioned, RFS to kind of a new level. We really wanted to be at the forefront for residents in terms of advocacy, as well as delivery of education. So the procedural dermatology lecture series, that was another kind of series of lectures that we hosted over several weeks. And this focused primarily on procedural dermatology as well as cosmetic dermatology. And that's something that can be quite variable in terms of exposure across Canada and the different programs. So once again, it was a way to help standardize and make access to high yield content and high yield lecturers who are experts in the field of procedural, Mohs and cosmetic dermatology come and lecture us. It's the first time that has ever been done in Canada. And I mean, all of these lecture series has been the first time that it's ever been done. And again, it received very, very positive reviews. We hosted a second series, and I'm sure in the future, more series will be coming. And what was nice about this one is that we were also able to recruit lecturers outside of Canada. So experts in the United States also participated, which was really nice.
And so these procedural talks, were they also practical? Did they have like YouTube videos of how to tie sutures and that sort of thing, or?
Primarily, it was more didactic in nature, just to kind of go through content, but also provide some clinical context. So real world applications, a bit different than what you read in the textbook, because there is a nuance and there's an art to all aspects of procedural dermatology. So it was really nice to hear from these experts in the field, from all the knowledge they've gained and their experiences over the last several years.
Right. And anything else on your plate? Do you have any future plans for the RFS and how the CDA can help you with that?
Yeah, so we definitely have a number of plans lined up for the future. So of course, we hope to continue all the educational initiatives because they're kind of core teaching, and the residents have found this very, very helpful. We did a survey a couple months ago to identify what else residents might find helpful from the CDA RFS. And one area that was identified is more kind of social activities to get to know residents across the country. And this has particularly been a challenge during COVID, as we didn't really get a chance to meet each other. So what we're thinking in the future is to potentially organize kind of a Zoom session where we could do a yoga class together with the residents across the country, or like a paint night, for example, as one idea. And then as a separate entity that we're working on is to plan a series that will focus on kind of establishing a practice outside of residency. So the aim of this is to invite various staff that have varied practices. So for example, academic, research focused, community, who did a fellowship, for example, and kind of find out how they got to where they are in their practice now. What do they like? What are some disadvantages? So that residents can have a broad overview of the possibilities when they graduate. So that's something that we're hoping to launch in the coming fall.
That sounds great also. I was going to ask, it must be difficult as residents to know where you're going to end up, and how much guidance do you get along the way, and you know, is there a certain type of practice that you find encouraged amongst the staff you're working with versus others?
Exactly. We have a career day as part of our institution that it happens annually, and we found that extremely helpful. And that's an opportunity for us to ask questions, to learn about different paths that different people took. So I think expanding it to a national level and including staff from various provinces, from different practice types, will be really helpful for all the residents across the country.
Right. Super. That's really, really good.
And I'll just say it's the CDA has been tantamount to the success of all of these initiatives. It supported us from day one, from you know, making sure that the message of these initiatives are broadcast and easily accessible to all residents across Canada via social media, via emails that were sent. Not only that, but all of these lectures that we've hosted and run, many of them, I would say the majority of them, have actually been recorded in the event that residents who wanted to come but were unable to because of other obligations could watch at a later time. And these are all hosted on the CDA website. So it's an invaluable resource that residents can turn to at any point in time, and watch lectures and rewatch lectures just to learn key concepts. So it truly has been quite lovely, and a great partnership between the CDA and the CDRFS in order to kind of further resident initiatives and help us to advocate for changes that, as Anastasiya mentioned, with surveys that we've performed, are really guided by what the resident voice is asking for. And, you know, we are kind of the stewards to try to help make that change come to pass. And although it's just Anastasiya and I here today, we have an entire RFS committee, and they're also wonderful and have been tantamount as well to the success of the various initiatives that we've had.
So you had sent out a survey to the residents to see what other things they would like offered by the RFS?
Yeah, we asked for their feedback on the sessions that we had already run to see if it was positive and if they have any feedback on those. And then as well as we proposed some new initiatives to get their opinion on that. So we discussed those today that also received positive feedback. And then we asked them kind of if there's anything else that they can come up with that could be helpful. So taking everything into account, we'll focus our planning for the upcoming year based on the feedback.
That's great. Well, I admire you taking on these responsibilities, and in a sense, by creating these different courses and being examples for your fellow residents. It's really admirable, and it's really fun to see the spirit that you young people have. So I'm very reassured that Canadian dermatology is in good hands, and you're moving it to a wonderful place. You have a lot of challenges coming up. We all have this telemedicine also that is coming through, and I'm trying to protect my fellow residents, saying, watch, you don't want to just have a practice where you're in front of a screen all day. We got to make sure we see our patients and, we're able to examine their entire body instead of just looking at 1 or 2 slides. But anyway, there's a lot of challenges ahead, but you guys are ready to take them on, and we're happy to help you any way we can. So thank you for letting us know about the RFS, and I'm sure members could write to you if they have any questions, and maybe some people would be interested in reaching out to you if they want to contribute to any of your lecture series also.
Yeah, no, thank you so much for having us. And to add just to your point, for all those who might be watching and considering getting involved with the RFS, I strongly encourage it. Obviously, I'm biased because I've been on the committee for several years now. But, as you had mentioned, like the current resident body from PGY1 to PGY5 are the future of dermatology. And the future of dermatology can't be carried on 1 or 2 or 3 shoulders alone. And it's so nice to have others who are passionate about education, who are passionate about resident wellness and resident advocacy, come together and work on a cause that, I find to be very meaningful. At least for me, it's been one of the most meaningful experiences so far in my residency to be able to have kind of such an impact on residents. So highly encourage everyone apply for positions. If you have questions, you can reach out to us, of course, at any time. And I promise that it'll be a lot of work, but worth it.
Thank you so much for all the support from the CDA. I wanted to add that as well. And I really appreciate that on all the various committees of the CDA, you always search for resident feedback and resident involvement to make sure that our voices are heard, and we really appreciate that. And yeah, thank you so much for the support from the CDA, and we're looking forward to working with you.
Yeah,
in the future.
Well, look forward to seeing you in person in Quebec City. That'll be really exciting.
Yeah, so excited for that. Yeah. It'll be the first CDA in so long in person. I'm so excited.
Right.
And to the residents watching this, there's a resident session that will be taking place at the CDA on the Wednesday. So don't miss out. This will be our opportunity to see each other finally in person after so many years.
That's wonderful. Great. Well, thank you. Thank you so much for this.
No, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.